Hi, this is David White coming to you again from Austin, Texas, with the third in the series that we call A Perfect Life. We call it A Perfect Life because I believe that Jesus was both human and God, and in the book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, we see how he led his human life. And I've never been able to find anything that was less than perfect with regard to how he led his life. If I ever want to get in the stratosphere, I can go to the book of John, which deals with, well, it comes at it a little bit different way. But here we're coming out of Matthew. We started with Jesus' baptism. We asked, why was Jesus baptized in the first place? Nobody really knows. I said what works for me. But nevertheless, he was baptized because, as he said, to fulfill all righteousness. I believe in modern language that would mean because it's the next right thing to do. So he was baptized and came straight up out of the water, and then the scripture in Matthew 3:16 and 17 says, as soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, this is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Oh boy. Jesus did it, was baptized, because to him it was the next right thing to do. But lo and behold, what a bonus he got. You may remember times in your own life when you did what you thought was the next right thing and came out with a whole lot more than you went in hoping for. Because this sentence here, the 17th verse, says, and a voice from heaven said, this is my Son whom I love, with whom I am well pleased. The first half of that sentence comes from the second Psalm. I think it's the 7th verse. But this is my Son whom I love, had always been taken by the Jews as a description of the Messiah. So when Jesus heard this as a Jew, it told him that he in fact was the Messiah. Then the second half of that sentence says, with him I am well pleased. This might not have been quite as good a news, because this part of the sentence comes out of the 42nd chapter of Isaiah, where it describes the methods of the Messiah as being the servant, or the suffering servant, if you will, instead of some political dictator or army general. He's charged with conquering the world, but conquering the world with love and what it does. And that makes it a whole lot harder. Have you ever noticed that when you do what you honestly believe to be the next right thing, things just seem to work out? And this very well may be a an occasion of this in Jesus' life. An early writer, in giving instructions to one of the churches that he'd started, said, "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." Jesus consented to be baptized, and we don't know why it's left open, but he thought it was the thing to do. He thought it would help fulfill all righteousness, so he did it. And that's what this early writer was saying when he said, "Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling." We each feel this gentle tugging at our heartstrings. And we're not going to find, or I haven't found, maybe you have, but I haven't found any preacher or teacher or savant or family member or friend or whatever who believes exactly like I do. And this bothered me for many, many years until I began to understand it. I'm going to show you a little, I hope this works. I'm going to show you a little illustration here. What we've got is, believe it or not, this is a circle. And these are the wheel, and these are spokes in the wheel. Now here you've got two little worms crawling down a spoke. This little worm is crawling this way. This little worm is crawling this way. Now, when you first look at that, it looks like they're going in opposite directions. But then on further reflection, you look at it, and oh my, they're both headed toward the center, which is the power, or spiritually speaking, which is God. The deal is, they didn't start from the same place. They don't have the same genes. They don't have the same life experiences, whatever. So while it may look like they're going in opposite directions, they're not. They're both headed toward the center or toward the power. And isn't it the same with us? You and I may disagree on just about everything. We may interpret Scripture differently. But if both of our hearts are in the right place, if we're both coming with an open mind and a pure heart, we certainly aren't enemies. And one of us doesn't have the way as opposed to the other, and vice versa. And if we love and respect each other and both come with honest, open hearts, we can help each other. Because we're going to agree on 90%. And why don't we do it more? I don't know. Next time, we're going to be starting with the 4th chapter of Matthew, where just after Jesus was baptized, it says he was led by the Spirit into the desert to be tempted. And so we're going to look at why this happened and what the temptations were. Until next time, thank you for this time, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.